we are live. Welcome. So you are our very first guest on Imagine With. So the idea of these chats is to get inspired, personally, if I'm honest, but hopefully also to inspire others. I'm Ali Harris, the creative director at Imaginary House, a children's publishing house for books currently, but hopefully many more executions in the future. So imagine film, plays, board games. I mean, come on, this can go on. You've got to imagine. That's the purpose here. Yeah. Imaginary House was founded on the line of, if you walk in the measurable, you miss out on the imaginable. So let's imagine with Subi. So that's, how did I do? First intro.
Sounds like, yeah.
I'm really excited to have you, Subi. A little bit of an intro on Subi, but we'll obviously get to know you as I ask these questions in here. But I've personally worked with Subi as an illustrator for some of the books at Imaginary House. But he's just an incredibly talented illustrator and also an awesome human being. So I'm really stoked to have you. Let's start with one of the most important questions. If you were a vegetable, which one would you be and why?
These are more. I wish I took. I was going to say vegetable sciences at school, but let me try. That's definitely a subject. I'm sure of it. For some reason, potato just jumped in my head, but I think it's because potatoes. Yeah, I guess that's the answer as well, because they're so versatile and so and like they're a good bet.
Yes.
And they're dependable.
Most people like potatoes. I haven't met someone that doesn't like potatoes.
People, and you're not going to be. I think it's really difficult to find someone who's allergic to potatoes. I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking about myself. I'm actually talking about potatoes now. I feel like because as I'm saying it, I'm like, am I saying that I desperately want to be accepted widely as much as a potato?
Don't worry.
I don't think it's that
this
deep.
This is hypothetical. You're not going to become a potato. We're okay.
If you've got Willy Wonka back there in Imaginary House, then maybe I'd be scared of you possibly turning me into a potato. But I think I think my answer is potato, because I like potatoes and they don't give you inflammation. Actually, that's it.
That's a really good. That is not an answer I could have imagined. So that's great.
Because that it'll be good for you. It's gonna give you that energy, a low glycemic index.
Oh,
it'll
stunning.
sting your stomach well. You're not gonna like just all of a sudden get like fat feet from like inflammation.
Exactly.
These are the things.
Any potato companies out there, you can sponsor us. We're all here to support potatoes. As odd as that first question might be, imagination and play is often what gets us, to let go a little bit and inspire some of the best ideas, actually. So with that being said, how did you discover your passion for illustration? What drew you to this particular art form? Slightly more serious question than the potatoes.
Okay, I need to come up with a sillier answer then. I think it was really because, to be honest, it's because it's something that I've always been able to do. Always just been, I think, able to do it, because like when you watch these guys on TED Talks and they yap about 10,000 hours and they just ramble about somebody putting in all the time and effort when you're young. And I think it's Malcolm Gladwell, right, talking about like if you spend 6 hours a day for like, I think he says
Tipping Point.
From Tipping Point. I think he mentions like if you spend 6 hours practicing something for on average like 5 years, 6 hours a day on average, then you'll certainly reach world-class capability or whatever. So I just know I've always been drawing, little things, silly things, coming up with silly stories. I've always done that throughout studying all the things that I was studying. And unfortunately, I hated what I was studying at a point. And then I reached a tipping point.
A different kind of tipping point.
Yeah. I studied the architecture, which I think today, and I will always, every single day, tell people, don't study architecture.
Well, I guess architecture is way more like analytical and specific.
Yeah.
Where, like, if you that way inclined, I'm sure it's incredible. But I feel like you like the play and the whimsical and imagination.
Love me some whimsy. So even though being in it, I wouldn't say even if you're analytical. I think even if you're analytical, I don't think it suits the sensibilities of somebody who is of this age, to be honest, because the payoff is like takes way too long. But let me not get into this chat. It's already getting my blood boiling.
You got a trigger here. I won't mention architecture in the future.
So back to the nice answer for this nice question. Dealing with that form of study, it was really annoying. And I'd always known how to draw stuff, and I always knew that I could draw. And I'm also I don't take the drawing too seriously or too lightly. I think that's what really helped me, because I've just always drawn in different styles, trying to reach realism, trying to do very stylized things, and know how to I'm also good at copying other people's styles as well. So for me, drawing has always been like a thing that I can do it. So when it came to like illustrating stories, I was like, if I do this, I can do something that I'm already good at. I've already put in lots of hours since I was a young kid. So it'll be easier for me to like adjust to different styles as well, because I've always done that. So that's the reason why I got into it, because I was like, it'll be easier because I already know how to do the things. And then I learned that.
I like what you said. Sorry, I'm just jumping in here, because so often people think that that everything has to be hard. And obviously there's the element of hard and you've got to push through. But sometimes it's okay to simply enjoy what you do. And I think that me, even personally, I've had to like really push through that, because I often think when things are easy, oh, this is too easy, I'm not working hard enough. And that's like not true. Not true at all. So I like that you say that.
I think it's important to like understand that for some people who are doing some sort of vacation professionally, that for some people it's really just like I guess for some professionals it becomes second nature, and they make it look really easy, but it takes effort. It always still takes the effort. But I would say that for me, it's just I chose to do this because I already knew how to do it. And if I needed to like deviate a little bit, I would figure out it wouldn't be that difficult for me to just touch up a little bit here and there. And then I learned how the work impacts people's lives, children's lives, and felt like it could be a nice not demonstration, but a nice contribution to
like opportunity,
people's learning, etc. So it felt like it became like just along the way it became something very fulfilling for myself and for the people that I work with. And it's really fun to produce things that are going to be used by people, young people, older people, of course.
Totally. And I mean, I know that even with Miyayu, we worked on comic book with you. It was a wordless comic, and that even was fun from even our side because we hadn't even personally done that. And so to play around in that space. But then also what I loved from that is since then you've actually hosted quite a few workshops on working with kids and like how to tell stories. And I know the publisher, who happens to also be my husband, Brad. Whoop, whoop, shout out to him. But I know that that's how he got into reading, was through comic books as well. And so I think we take for granted these like little moments that we can share what we enjoy and how that can spark joy for others. Because I mean, I wish I actually got into comics earlier on, because I think my attention span is I really have to work hard to focus, and I think comics really speak to that in me. And so that's why it was fun working with you on that. And that also, again, like you simply pursuing your passion and your joy sparked something in me, and I'm pretty sure many others. I remember one of the kids at one of the readings came to you with his watch, and he asked you to sign his watch, like of all things. And I think you had to sign one of his arms, like
Some of them said draw a cat on my arm.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Love it. So on that, like a lot of your illustrations have quite a distinctive whimsical style. So, and I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, like you enjoy the way of like not being too particular and just like playing. Is there, in terms of your personal style, how did you come about that? Like, how did you discover what your style was? Was it a lot of, you also mentioned copying, which copying's got this like really negative like connotation. But I think to encourage people out there listening, because there's going to be millions of you listening, that copying is a good way to learn. And
it really is.
Obviously don't claim it as your own work, but I think it's a good way to practice different styles. So without me answering the question, how did you find your style?
That's a good one. I think similar, just like as you said, just looking at work which you feel, that's really good, I wish I could draw that. Then you just draw it, and as you draw it, you might reach a point where you've done something that deviates slightly, and maybe you decide to not erase that deviation, and you're like, that actually looks interesting, and then maybe you change a few more things, and then now you've got your style that it's based on something else, but it's like it's not exactly the same. And I've learned with that, especially when I'm about to do like new projects, and like whenever I do a new project, I like to change the style. Sometimes I like to. There's like a couple styles that I've got that I know I'll use the style if I want to just do something really quickly, but make sure that it has lots of texture and it looks really rich and full. I've got like a few styles for that sort of thing, and then if I want to take my time, I've got another type of style that I'll use, etc., etc. But every now and then I'll find a new style, and I'm like, I haven't done anything like this. Let me try figure it out, and then I'll start by copying, and then eventually, because while I'm copying it, it's not natural to me yet. Like
and your style's still gonna come through anyways, regardless.
Come through, So I'll start off by copying, and then I'll be like, and then I'll look at it and say, okay, how do I find a way to create this, but in a way where it's smooth and natural for me, like with, I guess, like the stroke of the hand, of like the sword or whatever.
It's not how you create. Just go. There's no sitting down and drawing in a particular way. Everybody, Subi, just like.
I'm gonna.
He has a dance.
An example. Like I've got these, these sticks that have like the scent, the lovely scent.
Oh yes,
This could be
yes.
like that. I'm imagining like walking around a room like that.
I love it. I love it.
That could be fun.
I can imagine the animation coming to life and you being animated. So I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that,
Okay.
is there a particular character that you've created that you'd like to see come to life? For instance, in an animation or movie?
I mean, definitely Miyayu, I think, to be honest. Because
Yeah.
like there's so much that could be done, even without a voice actor included. Just watching Miyayu like creep around and give like a little cheeky smile, and then do something naughty there. Miyayu is like the one that I want to see animated for sure.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, for those listening, can you give just a brief background on what Miyayu is and the story and where it came from?
Okay, so Miyayu is he's a naughty cat, and we did a wordless comic we've done like issue 1, but the story comes from this where I grew up in Pretoria. There was this just like a neighborhood cat that would just like sort of linger around, and my mom would always just shout at this cat whenever it was trying to come into the house or sitting by the stoop. Or just like maybe we go to the backyard and then my mom like passes by, like there's like a storeroom just outside. She passes by the store to the laundry line and finds the cat there, and then she calls the cat. Then she shouts at the cat and he runs off. And so now the name Miyayu, it's a bit incorrect because Miyayu is the plural of Muyayu, which in Luganda, which is the language that my mom speaks, is Muyayu means wildcat or like a mangy cat. Not really mangy, just wildcat. And she would always like shout at him, and then the cat would like scurry off. And then there was one day where she was like, "Why don't you write a story about this stupid cat?" And I was like, let me see, what could I put together? And then I thought, Miyayu would be fun because it's phonetically almost like meow. Should be fun.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, we've got creative license, so it's not just totally.
Exactly. So that's how we came up. And then I think if you remember, Alison, I first pitched it as like a type of picture book with Miyayu just trying to get attention from the family because there was a new puppy in the house and he was feeling a bit ugh. So like planned a couple pranks on everyone and none of them worked out. But it was really fun to develop Miyayu as like a nice full character with all sorts of backstory. And I'm just remembering the backstory now that we cooked up for Miyayu, that he's actually from the wild and was accidentally poached.
Suburban.
Poached by some guys and then like sort of like abandoned in like a street somewhere. And has found himself in the city and is trying to figure out why he's just so different from him. He's just like not untenable, just I guess like that. Like he
doesn't quite know the ways of the city just yet.
Yeah, doesn't know the ways of the city, the ways of I guess civilized culture. It just does whatever he wants, does wild stuff, has fun, and it has a lovely neighbor called Tendo who loves to take care of him.
On the sneaky. He's
from mom's eyes.
I know. I mean, I really enjoyed working on Miyayu, and I hope to work on many more. And I think for me personally, this is a project that's potentially taking longer than I hoped. But I feel like sometimes these things, there's reason for it, and I still feel that whole imagine. I'm imagining an animation with Miyayu, so. I love cats. I mean, I've got 2 cats, Poppy and Willow, but even where I stay, there's 11 cats in total, and their names are like Balthazar. Like there's so many different cats, and they have all these names and they all these characters, and just the opportunity for story is endless. So that also leads to my next thing of in a lot of your books you've got these adorable animals and fantastical creatures. Do you prefer illustrating people or animals? Like, what is your go-to?
I want to illustrate more animals, to be honest.
Okay.
Animals, and I want to more animals and creatures, but I think that's just because I've had to illustrate so many people.
Yeah.
And it sometimes
people
gets
can be specific as well. Like,
yes.
I almost feel like animals, you have some more space to play.
Yeah, it feels. Yeah, I feel that way as well. And also with animals, you can introduce. It's more pleasant. Not pleasant. Yeah, pleasant. It's surprising and also heartwarming to see an animal express in a way that is very human as well.
Yeah, no, totally.
Compared to seeing a human do, like,
embracing an animal.
But yeah, like portraying a kid, like smile like a kid who is naughty or nervous. It's not as exciting as watching a dinosaur.
Yeah. Dinosaurs.
Or like a fly or a caterpillar. It's a lot more fun to see that sort of thing. So I like. Yeah, I want to do more creatures, animals, stuff like that. But I've just been, I've had to do lots of humans.
No, well, this is a slightly off topic from books and illustration. Oh no, it's not off topic. It's a slight. I don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, you have a podcast called Subi and Kate Circling Back. I'd also like to know a little bit more about that and how that got started. Like, where did you meet Kate?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's the question.
I'd love to talk about the podcast. So, Subi and Kate Circling Back. It started when, firstly, I met Kate 2020 when she was year of the first wave.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Let's just take a moment. Oh, okay, yes.
That whole year was like a movie almost.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. We were stuck indoors. We had times that we were allowed outside. But yes, moving on. How you met Kate 2020. Okay. Tell me more.
So I studied graphic design at the Academy of Digital Arts in Cape Town, and Kate, she was the head of graphic design and also a lecturer in graphic design. And that's how we met. And she's also she's 5 years older than me, 6 years older than me. So she's there's always kind of been like a nice big sister vibe.
Yeah.
And she's cool as well. She's really cool. So then when so I knew her, from there, and then maybe at the end of last year, I believe. 2021, I think it was. It must have been. End of 2021. We met for a coffee. She was like, I want to pitch something to you. And I was like, all right, let's see what it is.
Cool.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. And then she was like, let's start a podcast. And I was like, yes. I really enjoy speaking with her. And I also really enjoy podcasts. Then we decided that we wanted the content to be a resource for freelancers, specifically people who are doing creative work, some sort of like graphic designers, videographers, I guess, all sorts of designers, web designers, people who are like part of like the laptop generation, I guess, laptop class rather, running around between coffee shops doing their work, and especially if you're starting out and you need some guidance on how to deal with horrible clients, good clients, how to win them over, how to stand your ground on expectations,
how to get them to give you the brief.
Like how to settle on a good brief, and how to basically that, just giving like a resource to give advice to people young people or old people who are about to get into something like this and might need to understand the ways on how to manage yourself so that you don't get, so that your work is easier to do. You don't get burnt out, and you can do your work a lot easier, and everyone can be on the same page, because it's really easy for people to start their work and then some sort of creative work, and then someone just asks for more changes, and you just keep doing changes, and it feels like you're just stuck in a hole. And so just learning how to give people the tools to set up parameters that make it work.
And I guess like having that contract, and I think often as creatives we feel like we mustn't do that, or it hems us in, but actually that creates so much freedom. And it gives you those parameters to play, but not getting taken advantage.
So we started, and then I think it was like December. I believe it was December last year. I'm really bad with years. Last year or a year.
I won't sue you for getting the wrong dates. Don't worry, it's all good.
It was like, it was some time ago. And we started off with with this phone, in fact. Just switched on the voice recorder, put it between us, and started yapping. And it was lots of fun. And then it took us a while to like figure out how we would get our groove. I think we might have recorded like 3 things before we uploaded one to a site.
Okay.
We just wanted to like get a groove. We wanted to record as well, but cameras kept switching off or somehow just getting corrupted. And it's really strange, like when you are, like you're trying to record something like important, and all of a sudden your phone is like, whoops, I don't know how to record. I don't know how to say it. Every single accidental video that you capture while you're just holding your phone by your side, it records all of that nonsense.
No, totally. It's always like that, just to keep us on our toes a little bit.
So we did that a couple times, and then we've slowly built a nice little following, and we've gotten some nice fan mail as well, people messaging and saying that this was really good. They really learned a lot about how to manage their clients' expectations. Which is really, really heartwarming as well, to just have good feedback.
From leading from that, has there been one nugget that you've learned from those podcasts that's like really stuck with you?
These are good questions. I would say, I think what stuck with me is that as much as it might be a cliche that people would say, you should just keep working at it, even if you don't have any fans or whatever, if you're not getting too much business, if it seems like it's not working out right now, like keep working at it. That's the one thing that I've learned from like a bunch, because we've also been interviewing quite a few people, myself and Kate. It's been really fun learning the different perspectives that people would give back, or I guess share about about their journey, because there's quite a few very talented people who will say that they've always been good at doing this, and they've kind of just stumbled into their success. Some people have said that they have worked so hard ever since day one.
Yeah.
And for them, it's like a real effort every time. So it's nice to hear that some people, like, they really work hard all the time. Some people, they'll say they get lucky a lot, and there's lots of word of mouth which helps them. There's lots of this that helps them. But the overriding thing is that you just need to keep going until you get to a point where you obviously see that it has worked out, but obviously, it doesn't work out for all the people. But I think really,
and I guess it's also like I heard such a great thing on the word fail, and that it's an acronym for first attempt in learning. And I think I've been reading up a lot around failure, to be honest, and what that looks like and what that is, and just changing our perspective around it. And I was reading one, I'm a new parent, so, and just around, like, am I going to get this right all the time? And no, I'm not. But there's this one dad, I can't remember, I wish I remembered his name now, on this one podcast, he was just saying how he encourages his kids to fail every day. And I really love that, because it just changes our approach, that it's not shameful to fail or make a mistake, but actually that's an opportunity to learn. And I feel like that applies to this as well, and work. And I know that I'm certainly failing at a lot of things, but hopefully also succeeding at them too. So I love that. Just keep going.
So it's like what I've observed from the podcast is two-pronged. The one is that you should just keep going, and then the second one is like, it's aligned with what you're saying about failure, because if you keep doing it, you will make lots of errors, and then you will learn all kinds of things that you would have never learned without doing this. And those extra things that you've learned they can only help you more. They can't. It's not gonna hurt you when you learn. If I did it like this, now I know that the next time I'll understand that it's because of this.
No, totally.
Like, you just keep making mistakes and keep picking up. I should have done that. That's just like a valuable lesson, just for everything. Like, even if you are not gonna be a creative person, you just want to keep trying things out. And as you're mentioning, this dad who tells his kids to just keep making mistakes or keep failing, it's pretty cool, because then they're just gonna know how it's not a bad. They're just gonna grow up normalized to the idea of, like, I'll try it out. If I fail, at least I can figure out why I failed.
And you're not stuck, which I know I personally can, like, fall into the space of not wanting to do it unless I'm really good at it. And that can actually, like, hold you back so much. Whereas if you go, like, cool, I might fail at this, it takes off all that pressure to be perfect, and you can just go for it. So I mean, who knew that I needed to become a parent to figure out these things for work? But I wanted to, I mean, there's so many things that I want to ask, but on that note, I actually wanted to ask, so firstly, we've actually had the opportunity to work with you on some really awesome books for an organization called the Learning Initiative. And they focus on early childhood development. And you worked on Mr. Muku, So Many Leaves, and Who Will I Be with Brad, actually. And I mean, those are also just such fun to work on. And I know a large portion of discovering you was through Book Dash. And for those that don't know, Book Dash has the epic goal of getting 100 books in the hands of children by the age of 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, with all of these, do you have a particular personal goal to contribute? Try again. I failed. Yay! To contribute towards literacy in South Africa. Because, yeah, recently there've been a lot of stats coming out just around literacy and just actually how bad it is currently. And I know that, like, we're in the space to contribute towards it. And I mean, this doesn't have to be super thought out right now. But is there anything in particular that you feel this will really help with literacy? And this, you can comment on this video later and be like, I've got something else. So,
no, I've got something. Yeah, it's related to the comic workshops that I do.
Yeah,
it's been really, 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 really heartwarming whenever I enjoy. Whenever we do these things, because they're so joyful, especially when I get to like a group that I'm really not certain. But now that I think of it, it's every time that I go, I'm not certain about whether the kids are going to enjoy it at all, whether they're in grade 7s or grade 3s or whatever. So I have this workshop for comic creation where I'll just tell these kids about the work that I do, what I've done, how I used to draw comics in high school, and show them some examples that I found and that I've scanned in. And I'll show them like the stuff and show them how silly and foolish my comics were. And then show them some examples of like Miyayu and the other picture books that I've done, which look a lot more professional and like good. and like I'll talk about the stuff and the process and all that, and then I'll encourage them to come up with a character. Just make it a silly character. The more sillier the better. And I'll tell them, like, for like good measure, if you start giggling while you're drawing the character,
that's a good litmus test.
This guy's gonna look ridiculous. Then that's a plus. And then once we've done that, then I just give them like an example of like a very short story that I've done, and based on like another silly character that I've come up with, and they understand what I'm getting at, and then show them lots of examples of like not having to worry about making sure the drawings are neat or professional in any way. Don't worry about scaling, none of that. Just come up with a fun story. And then I leave them to get into it. And obviously, a lot of the kids will be nervous. Very few will be very enthused and like get straight into it. But my favorite part is when you get to see these children build up confidence as they go on. Because I'll walk around and like ask them stuff, and I'll laugh with them when they show me the character and explain how silly and weird they are. And then some of them will tell me the type of story that they're going to tell, and it'll be like a very, very like a 2-bit story, but it's very good, like very. It's worthwhile because it's their creation, it's their ideas. And then there's a moment when in every single workshop where you'll see some of the kids get to a point where they look at the other kids doing their own story, and then they get a little bit more serious, and then they start doing it properly, and then they'll start self-criticize, and then like scratch that out and start again and do a refined version of this very silly story, and then do like extra drawings as well, and do a little bit extra, and you get to see them like build their confidence as they're explaining to me, no, this guy, his name is Mr. Flying Underpants, and he does this, and he has to fight the tie, and then and they need to get to school, and like they'll have like weird stories like that, and it's really but like it's fun like watching them explain it very seriously, because they're like, I've worked it out, then after this guy does this guy does that, and it's really like it fills me up because like I'm watching them like actually become writers as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's almost like seeing this progression of growth. That it almost sounds like, it's interesting because it shows you that play is so important.
It's really important.
To start off with that in the beginning, to start off with play, and then go into the editing. I know that Brad often says with stories, like edit last, like do not edit as like.
It's come up with all sorts of stuff. And I think as a contribution to literacy and essay, I really think that this type of workshop, as loose and open-ended as it is for the kids, I think that what I've seen is that at first they get to develop confidence in something that they've created and something that they have worked out in a linear fashion, like a story. And then I believe that it would get them to a point where they feel that they are a writer as well, and then they would be interested in checking out another book that has been written by someone, and then at that point they'll be able to feel that they can criticize the story that they're reading, because they also know how to create a story.
Yeah, totally. And it's such an interesting, because there's no And like I mean, this is slightly sadder, but I remember at one of the workshops, one of the kids was so excited and they just wanted to get your book and they were so inspired. And then I remember them standing with their mom and their mom said, "You're too young for a wordless comic." And it just broke my heart. And I think that's where we really need to change minds around that. And I love what you say and how they start to understand that they're storytellers and it can be wordless and lead into words. And I think like with literacy and also with so many parents that also struggle with literacy, to read to their children is such a stumbling block. To start with something like a comic is such a nice way to include the parent in that process.
Absolutely.
Hopefully inspire reading for parents as well, that like it's not, stories can be told in many shapes and forms. It doesn't only have to be written word, but it can inspire written word, and that hunger. So that's really, I really love that. That's beautiful. Let's go pitch. Let's get in there.
I would really, I've told like a few people that I want to figure out how to pitch to get some sort of, I'm not even sure what type of funding would be adequate for such a thing. But just to facilitate, I guess really to just facilitate the workshops and maybe compile some sort of study at some point. Maybe there's some sort of literacy person around who can monitor whether these kids improve their reading over the next year or something. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I guess like an impact assessment to actually just see I mean, we've seen it, but it would be nice to actually have that proof, because I think so often people want that proof. But anyone listening on here that has any Kanekis, let us know. But I mean, like I said, I've got so many questions and I could sit here for hours, but let's not do that for the sake of the listeners. But to kind of end off, do you have, I mean, you've given many inspiring things, but do you have any advice for aspiring illustrators to navigate some of the challenges and joys of pursuing a career in illustration? And joys, it's not all challenges.
I would say share your work. Obviously, like the obvious one, share your work with people. Make lots of work, because I know that there's some people who will like produce things and then feel that they must keep them for like special time. But I think that's really bad. Like, you should always understand that you can make more. You can always make a better version of whatever you think is your best thing that you've done. You'll always be able to, as long as you allow yourself to. Actually, you have to allow yourself to do your best thing, release it, let people see it, enjoy it, and understand that you'll always be able to make more things. And so I think that's like one bit of advice. Another one is find somebody whose work you enjoy and like chat with them. Basically get a mentor, chat with them, ask them, praise them a little bit as well.
I'm doing it. I enjoy your work, Subi.
Thanks. Send them messages and ask them questions. And if you're lucky, they'll probably respond. Find out then ask them whatever question you'd like an answer to. I've got a bunch of mentors that I chat with, just to, at least like at the beginning when I was getting into doing illustration. And they're all pretty cool. They're all on Instagram and wherever, Twitter, the places. Thanks. Oh my gosh.
We deviate.
I think that's something that's important. Make sure that, like, just understand that you can always make another work, another piece. If it's a picture, if it's some writing, if it's a video, if it's a song, like, you can always make another one that's better, as long as you understand that you produce it, you let it go, and then you allow yourself to create some more things.
And if you hold tightly, you can kind of strangle the idea anyways. So
probably,
I mean, let's learn from Elsa. Let it go.
I've got a confession about that movie. I really hate the singing in
We've just lost all subscribers we could have had.
It's the voice. Like, I think it's the voice. I don't know if it's Kristen Bell who's actually singing, but the voice. There's something about it. When I watched Frozen once, and when I was listening I was sitting there on the sofa thinking, this can't be the last mix of the song. What? Then the speakers were wrong. Maybe my speakers were off. But I was sitting there feeling like this song sounds like
that's your insurance statement. Maybe my speakers were off. But actually
the speakers were like, they were having an off day. I don't know. It sounded like, I was like, no, this can't be the song that every child loves. Kids usually love good songs like Baby Shark. Baby Shark's a good song.
Well, to be honest, I want to try to figure it out. Like, what is it that, because I think every kid is obsessed. Like, to be honest, Snowman is my favorite. I'm obsessed with him. So
with which? Oh, Olaf.
Yeah, Olaf. That's his name. That's
I'm like all the names, but I don't like them. Thanks.
Well, we'll make sure that when Miyayu becomes an animation, we'll ensure that we get the right final mix.
Please, I mean, some good sing the songs.
Yeah. No, well, thank you, Subi. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your wisdom. And
thank you.
I think this won't be the last time we chat. Hopefully next time I'll be chatting to you about your movie release, and how your mansion is treating you. But yeah,
I honestly don't think. Do you think you would?
Any last words?
Okay, my last words are: I don't like the ideas of mansions, to be honest.
Neither do I. It's so much cleaning.
And like mansions they're never made of wood. It's always hard marble and concrete and brick. So you know it's ice cold in there.
Yeah, I'm with
You
you.
need to
And
be
also, then
in the fireplace. It's horrible.
and you also don't see people. I feel
And
like
there's
you
no
need
mirror. The
yeah,
yard is as big as a town. Nobody's gonna come see.
yeah.
So
Well, I'll
I think
speak to you about your highly curated and beautiful tiny home.
those are my last words.
Love it, love it. Don't like mansions. Inspiring. Well, thanks, Subi, and yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed listening. We'll see you next time.
Enjoyed. Okay, thanks. Bye.